A major terror plot planned by Iranians on U.S. soil is foiled.
One thing I would say is when you take the 999 plan and you turn it upside down, I think the devil's in the details.
Debating solutions for our economy and which candidate took the most hits. The price of protesting, how much Occupy Wall Street is costing you, the taxpayer. And quite a painful finish for one bike racer. Ouch! Your Independent News Network starts right now. Hello everyone, I'm Mike Mickle. Welcome to INN News. The U.S. is on alert today after government officials say they foiled a major terror plot planned by Iranians on U.S. soil.
Mansour Arbabsiar, a naturalized United States citizen who holds an Iranian passport and was arrested last month in New York, is accused of working with members of an arm of the Iranian Revolutionary Guard Corps to devise an international murder-for-hire scheme targeting the Saudi Arabian ambassador to the United States.
He and another man are charged with conspiracy. The U.S. says the plan was discovered when a Mexican informant went undercover as part of a drug cartel and was approached by the conspirators to kill the Saudi ambassador. The Mexican government then contacted U.S. officials. Meanwhile, the accused underwear bomber has pleaded guilty. The terror suspect is from Nigeria. He admitted to trying to detonate an explosive device in his underwear aboard a Christmas 2009 flight to Detroit. He chose to represent himself in the federal trial. That trial got underway just this week. Time for your vote 2012, and another debate is done for the Republican presidential candidates. The presidential hopefuls weighed in on the economy in last night's debate in New Hampshire. They answered questions in a roundtable format, which returned some pretty interesting answers. Herman Cain especially took a lot of hits for his 999 plan.
I think it's a catchy phrase. In fact, I thought it was the price of a pizza when I first heard about it.
One thing I would say is when you take the 999 plan and you turn it upside down, I think the devil's in the details.
Right now, America's in crisis. We don't need to think about a hypothetical of what happens if Europe explodes and pulls us under. Although, if that does happen, you want to have someone who's smart, who has experience, who knows how the financial services sector works, who knows how to protect American jobs, and I do. I've done it.
The plan that I'm going to be laying out over the next 3 days, and I'm not going to lay it out all for you tonight. Mitt's had 6 years to be working on a plan. I've been in this for about 8 weeks.
So just what is the 999 plan? Well, it calls for pretty much abolishing the tax code and replacing it with a 9% tax on corporate profits and personal income, plus a 9% sales tax. Do you think it could work? Share your comments with us on our Facebook page. You'll find us at INN News. Meanwhile, Mitt Romney gets a major endorsement from the man so many wanted to run for president. New Jersey Governor Chris Christie made the announcement in New Hampshire yesterday. Christie says Romney has public and private sector experience. He says the former Massachusetts governor brings the best of both to the table.
It's been really, in the end, an easy decision for me. I know that America needs a new course, and I wanted to be with the person who I believe will be the best person to lead America on that course, and that's Governor Mitt Romney.
For months, Republicans tried to persuade Christie to run for president. He gave his final no last week. Meanwhile, the president's job plan has failed to make it through the Democrat-controlled Senate. The bill failed to get the 60 votes needed to push it forward. It got 50. The $447 billion bill includes a tax increase on the wealthy, an expansion of a current payroll tax cut, and an extension of jobless benefits, among other things.
The question is, where are we going next? What does the future hold? We can either go back to the ideas that tried and failed in the last decade, where corporations write their own rules and the well-connected get tax breaks slipped into the tax code, and ordinary folks are struggling, or we can build the America that we talked about in 2008 and that we've been fighting for ever since.
The president's comments coming from a campaign fundraiser in Florida last night where 2 members of his motorcade crashed. It happened on the way to the Orlando airport. Police say the bikes belonged to an Orlando police officer and a Seminole County sheriff's officer. No one was seriously hurt. The president was not involved. Getting back to the economy now and people's dissatisfaction over what's happening. The Occupy Wall Street demonstration is well into its 4th week, and it's ringing up a serious tab for taxpayers. New York City's police commissioner says the bill is now in the millions. James Ford reports.
Commissioner Ray Kelly confirmed that the cost of police overtime to patrol here so far is $2 million because most of these cops are on overtime, so they can also do regular shifts, some elsewhere. That ends up costing you every day more than $70,000, $20,000 more than the median yearly salary for a New Yorker. And how many more days will these protesters be here, Mr. Mayor?
I have no idea how much longer. People want to express themselves, and as long as they obey the laws, we'll allow them to.
Demonstrators agree there is no set end date for their protest, so count on spending more of your tax dollars and taxes from an unlikely source, here. Yes, that's right. Wall Street pays a noteworthy percentage of all New York taxes. 13% of state revenues and 7% of city revenues come from Wall Street firms. In other words, for every 10 cops you see protecting the people protesting Wall Street profits, 1 cop is being paid for by Wall Street profits. And by you. Forget about your tax dollars for a moment. Let's talk about your actual dollars. Plenty of people are choosing to spend plenty of these to support these protesters. This is where donations come into the protesters, and as you see, there's a lot. Look at this. They feed all comers, well, all with donated food and drink.
A lot of people just feel like this is an important movement and they want to support it as much as they can.
And the donors come from everywhere.
Portland, Oregon, Pennsylvania.
We even got one from
Kentucky.
New York's police commissioner says his officers must use overtime to patrol the protests because the department has shrunk by 6,000 over the last 4 years. A container ship captain arrested and charged in New Zealand. His ship ran aground on a reef and is now leaking oil into the sea. New Zealand officials say it's likely more charges will follow. Cleanup efforts are in high gear right now. A mass amnesty is now underway in Myanmar. A Thai-based rights group says so far about 150 political prisoners have been freed, and all the state is expected to free more than 6,000 people. Here's one way to bolster tourism in Japan. The Japan Tourism Agency is offering 10,000 free flights to foreigners who will write about their experiences. Winners would be selected based on how interesting their travel plans are. Tourists would be expected to pay for their own hotels and activities. Japan's tourism industry has suffered in the aftermath of the tsunami, earthquake, and nuclear disasters. A biker was in second place in a race in South Africa until an unexpected collision on the course. He takes a direct hit from an antelope. The cyclist was knocked off his bike but suffered only a minor concussion and some whiplash. His helmet took most of the impact. And that's your Global News Now. Well, wonder why your paycheck is shrinking despite reports that the economy is growing? Ryan Bass says you're not alone. Here's tonight's Back to Business.
A new study from the start of the recession to this past June shows the average household income plunged nearly 10%. That's the largest drop in decades. The report also found incomes fell more after the recession than they did during it. Income dipped 3.7% during the recession, but since 2009, when the economy was supposed to be picking up, the average income slipped 6.7%. Luxury hotels hit hard by the recession are making a comeback. High-end hotel resorts to some companies and frequent travelers are returning because of the perks. Among those perks, concierge and laundry services, around-the-clock room service, and plush settings for business meetings. Many five-star hotels saw a downturn with the economy, especially after Congress blasted insurance giant AIG for spending hundreds of thousands of dollars at a resort following its government bailout. Rich, portly men with beautiful women on their arms are no rarity in today's society. According to a recent study, this coupling can be explained by simple math. A professor at Columbia University has done a study and found a little extra cushion around the waist on a man is not a big deal to attractive women, as long as he's rich. He created a formula which says for every 10% increase in a man's body mass index, his salary must increase by 2% in order to continue dating in the same area. For women, this model is flipped. Men will overlook extra weight in a woman with more education. For Back to Business, I'm Ryan Bass.
Coming up next, the death of a man is sad enough, but the secret he kept inside his house is sad as well. Dozens of cats. What's being done to help them? And dogs are more human than many give them credit for. They can even carry emotional baggage. We'll explain next on INN.